Hey Zwifters, welcome back to No Breakaways, your source for all Zwift racing tips and tricks. Today is the second installment of the Road to Worlds feature that we did. Yesterday we interviewed Ryan Larson, and today we're interviewing Jordan Cheyne from Team Canada. We're also going to be hosting a live interview with Jordan, Ryan, and hopefully a couple other athletes Monday, December 7th at 6 p.m. Central Time, so make sure to set a reminder for that live stream here on the No Breakaways page. Well, thanks Jordan for joining us. Really appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me, Rick. Excited to get down to business here.
Yeah. Congratulations on making the world team. That's a huge deal.
Yeah, it's not something I expected out of this season at all. I mean, it was only a thing 3 months ago, sort of invented by Zwift. But you take what you can get this year, and it's the World Championships, and I'll always have done the first World Championships of this, and I think it'll go far. I think it'll become a more important thing over the years, and it's cool to be in the very first one.
Yeah, super cool. So, I mean, how did you qualify or get chosen for the world's team?
I think so. Most countries have they get to pick three to five athletes depending on their UCI points, and then they have wild card selections, which they can sort of give to whoever they want based on merit. So you had to be eligible. You have to be in the testing pool, the WADA testing pool, so whereabouts, so they can come test your blood and your urine whenever with no notice. So I've been in that pool for a few years as a pro on the road, and so that narrowed it down probably. But the pool still contained a lot of professionals, and I think it was the combination of my good results on the road, and also the fact that I've taken pretty hard to Zwift this year and had some good results there and kind of showed a commitment to it. So I was very pleased to get selected.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So it was a selection process. It wasn't like you had to do something on RGT or Zwift or anything to get qualified.
No, no, I think it was sort of a hybrid system of sort of your results on the road, and then they asked for all your Zwift power information and your background, and so yeah, I've been fortunate enough to engage in some pretty good events this year and have some success on Zwift. And so, yeah, I think I sort of fulfilled both sectors there pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started cycling maybe in high school. Played hockey growing up. Like I'm a pretty typical Canadian kid, and I was pretty bad at hockey. Like I never made it out of the house league, and I don't think I ever scored more than a few goals in the season. But that kind of ends, it ends when you're 13, 14 if you're not any good. And I sort of started riding my bike a little more, just around trying to be fit. I was speed skating at the time, so it was kind of like dryland training. And then I discovered I liked the bike better than speed skating. And so I got a little Canadian Tire, which is like the Walmart up here, road bike with skinny tires, which was a big deal. And it sort of went from there. It took me a long time. Like I was in a small town and cycling wasn't really a thing. It took me a long time to actually break into cycling as a sport, but I kind of liked riding my bike a lot. And yeah, I eventually met the right people, went to sort of a little talent camp, and they said I was pretty quick. And I was 17 and I started racing as a second year junior. So it's pretty late by cycling standards. And ups and downs over the years. I had some good U23 years, but I really hit my stride after I finished university in 2015 here in British Columbia, and had some good results and got picked up by Jelly Belly for the 2016 season. And so it was a long progression, and probably not the road that you see a lot of these, Euro pros take from development team to development team, but I've enjoyed it all the way through, and I'm happy to be doing it. I guess 15 years later now.
Okay, that's awesome. And who are you racing for now?
Elevate Webaplex, which is the number one road team in North America on the circuit here. Well, in 2019 anyway, and based in Southern California. And yeah, I've been on that team for 3 years now. So Worlds set up. We got selected, I guess, about a month ago, maybe a little longer. No, probably a month ago. So we had about 8 weeks sort of prep time, lead time, and we sort of found out what the course was a couple weeks ago. It's going to be the what is it? The
Big,
figure eight,
yeah,
the
yeah.
figure eight reverse with a so mainly just the original OG roads on Watopia with those two climbs. That's what it's going to be, which is pretty raw. It's going to be like a fast race, and the competition is what's going to make it interesting. So we found all that out and sort of working backwards from there with my coach, sort of changing my training to be a lot more punchy anaerobic work. The defining efforts on that course, if anybody's ridden it, is the forward KOM, which is a minute and a half tops. That's sort of at our pace will be 8-9 watts a kilo. And then the reverse KOM, which is sort of 3.5 minutes, which is less of a steep climb, more but still punchy. You're kind of going way over and then back to threshold. And so that stuff doesn't usually, that's not my strong suit. I'm more of a climber, threshold guy, VO2 max. But already I'm seeing some success doing shorter intervals, doing lots of the racing, and sort of transforming my fitness to sharpen up for that and be an asset for the team. I think that looking at the guys we have selected in our race, we have myself, Charles Etienne Chrétien, who's sort of a similar style rider, I think, to me. He races in Europe. He's a younger guy. And then we have Lionel Sanders, who is a true wild card. He was the wild card selection for Canada, and I think he'll be a wild card in the race too, because he has such high horsepower, and he'll be he could surprise everybody. And then I think the guy who's really gonna have the best chance of winning from our team is Pierre Andre Cote, who races for Rally, and he believe either came second or won a stage in the virtual Tour de France based on his sprinting. He's a pretty international class sprinter, strong man type guy. So I'm not sure how his form is going to be after he's obviously raced in Europe, where a lot of us have not been racing. So I'm not quite sure. I don't want to put words in his mouth or anything, but I think he'll be the designated hitter, and of course the rest of us will be aggressive. I think it's going to be an aggressive race overall. Things will be happening for the entire 50 kilometers, and we want to be represented all the time. And if there's something gets away, we want to be in that. So, yeah, I think it'll take a little time. We're doing these practice events now on the course, sort of sanctioned by Zwift, and maybe analyzing those, we can get an idea of what might happen, how it's going to unfold, because this is an untested thing. You don't have like the known quantities of this high-end Zwift teams controlling things. You don't have the known quantities of the World Tour teams doing things like you did in the virtual Tour de France. So I think it's going to take some figuring out, but those are sort of our weapons anyway. Yeah, so those are just starting to kick into gear. We're a little less than a month out now. Zwift is organized. The time zones make it difficult because even on our team, we have West Coast guys, we have East Coast guys, and then we have people in Europe. So it's hard to get everybody together. But Zwift has made this calendar of practice events that are on that figure eight course exactly with the same finish, and you can enter them. And it's sort of a secret sign up. So it's only people involved with the event and anybody else that gets invited. And so we line up for those. We're trying to do one this afternoon, actually, in a couple hours, and hopefully get maybe the East and West Coast guys together, some other competitors, and yeah. So that's a really good course preview. And I did one on Sunday. The attendance wasn't that high, so I sort of just did a simulation on my own. But I think as we get close, those will be kind of good. As I said, to figure out how the flow of racing is going to be at this level on that course, I think that'll be valuable. Yeah, Jordan Shane winning this event is going to be pretty difficult, to be honest. I've raced enough in this at the high levels, the World Tour events and stuff, where that at the by end of the day, it's a capacity thing, and you have to have the right tools in your toolbox to win one of these things. So like 95% odds it's going to come to a reduced bunch sprint up that last climb. And in that case, I think the best thing I can do is help my teammate Pierre Andre or whoever's sprinting well on the day come around that last corner on the switchback on the hilly KOM and just unleash there, right? If I can lead that in and do a good job there, I think that's how you win this race. For the team. If I was going to win, it would have to be a breakaway, even though there's no breakaways. But that has happened before. Like Lionel Sanders won the Ronde of Vlaanderen Flanders race in a breakaway solo, right? So it happens. It could be a surprise, but reduced group for me, for sure. Like a small breakaway going away and then sprinting out of that up that hill would be my win. And you probably have to be creative where you get away on this course because I think those climbs will be at such a high sort of prohibitive pace already that it's going to be impossible to make an attack there. I think it's going to be somewhere else in the course where everybody's already on the limit, and then you make an attack. And even then, it's hard to get away on Zwift, but I've learned also in these races, if everybody says it's going to be a sprint finish up that, it means that it might not be.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this race always ends in a sprint 10 years in a row, and sometimes the breakaway wins. So that's how I'd win it. But honestly, it would be such a big deal for the team to win this, for esports in Canada, and overall, like I'd be happy if my teammate could win or podium this event.
Um, yeah. So, are there any sponsorships or anything like that that you want to talk about before we go?
Yeah, sure. As I mentioned, the support from the national team has been great. The Louis Garneau and Tax from Zwift as well. But I have to thank my trade team, Elevate, Webaplex, for getting me through this year. It's been difficult, but they've supported us through all the canceled events and the changes of course. And I wouldn't be here without sort of some key teammates. My teammate Brian, who's sort of like the team captain, got the squad together for those Zwift races, and that was really important. And we had the support of the sponsors for that: KHS, Elevate, Webaplex, Bond Shoes, everybody on board there sort of supported this from the get go. And then Finesse Wahoo has welcomed me with open arms and has been a big part of this too. So I know FSA is a supporting sponsor there as well. I'm probably missing 1,000 different names, but
We can
better to
edit in all the words below if.
yeah, sure. Just like my mouth moving, and you can just
No, well,
yeah,
thanks. Yeah,
and my wife and my dog Knox as well.
there we go. Especially
Yeah,
Knox. Oh well, thanks for joining us today, Jordan. I really appreciate it, man.
yeah, and no problem. It's a pleasure.
Yep. Hey Zwifters, that's our show for today. Thanks a ton to Jordan for stopping by for the interview. If you liked this, please click like and subscribe below, and remember to watch Ryan's interview from yesterday.